Be the Chief, Chapter 10, Culture and Climate. The good chief says, stormy seas make for better sailors. The great chief says, any storm has to get through me first. Our people judge their everyday experience by two factors, climate and culture. Those two words, of course, are often confused, but very different. Climate includes the perceptions and attitudes among a group. Did you ever hear someone comment on, that ship is the best on the waterfront, and they're proud of it? Or, those guys are so laid back, I enjoyed working with them. Those are examples of climates. Culture includes the values and beliefs that govern overall behavior. Like, Chief Smith came to the rescue. She would never allow any of us to fall behind. Or, let me know and we'll bring some additional sailors in. They'll be happy to help the cause. As the chief, it is important to understand the extraordinary impact you have on both. We control what we own, right? So, while we can't control or sometimes even affect or influence a lot of the churn, spin, or overall undesirable impacts that come our way, we absolutely do control how these issues affect our climate and culture. While it is true that stormy seas make for better sailors, it's also on us to prepare our sailors for those storms and build hardened, resilient climates and cultures that support and empower our people. A positive climate means there is faith in the leadership. That starts with us. But how do we build it? How does one begin taking steps after they've inherited a team suffering from toxic or non-supportive climates? Resilience should be your focus. Resilience happens when people realize they can rely on each other to overcome adversity. There are several ways to build a resilient team, but the most important aspect is to build trust. There are two types of trust, social and professional, and you need to build both. In the Naval Special Warfare community, we know this simply as, I can trust you with my life, but can I trust you with my wife? Simply put, social trust is built upon social interaction. Social trust happens when someone leaves their wallet on their desk and goes to a meeting, and when they return, their wallet is right where they left it. Social trust is that sailor who volunteers to be a designated driver and actually comes through on the promise. It's the chief who notices a behavior out of character and shows concern. Professional or task-based trust is what happens on the job. It's the sailor who stays a little late to get the critical work done to help the team. The fire and forget LPO, whose team completes a task before the chief even assigns it. It's the intel briefer who can read the enemy's minds. Authenticity is key to building trust. An authentic chief is an approachable chief. Authenticity requires transparency. Remember when we discussed sharing your eval and how many chiefs would roll their eyes at that? You have to be strong and comfortable to be authentic. Here's a way to not be authentic, not be vulnerable, not be transparent, not have courage, not be trusted, and own a division with a rotten climate. A sailor I once mentored pulled me aside and told me they were afraid they were in trouble with their chief. The sailor, who was an LPO, said that morning, the Divo came around and asked where the chief was. The sailor said, not sure, but I think he had a meeting. And the Divo ordered the sailor to call the chief to make sure he was okay. The sailor calls, and the chief gets on the phone and says, among other things, you don't ever ask a chief where they are or what they're doing. I am a chief. We don't need to unpack the level of nonsense in that one, do we? We discussed previously the chief, the LPO, and the chief and Divo relationship. Both should have been notified by the chief of either the upcoming appointment or the contingency as it happened. Accountability matters. With this type of attitude, the chief can't expect either the LPO or the Divo to keep them informed. The second aspect of building a positive and resilient climate is treating everyone with respect. Every sailor is a human being, and every sailor deserves to be treated with grace and respect. If you're ever in doubt, go make the rounds and ask sailors what they want the most from their leaders. They are going to tell you they want to be treated like adults. Respect. Now, if you want to add that you will treat sailors like adults until they prove otherwise, hey, that's on you. That is your climate. I would just encourage that if the sailor runs afoul, treat them with respect, get them support where they need it, and hold them accountable for their actions. Respecting people means you approach them with grace instead of skepticism. Don't assume malice when the cause might have been ignorance, stupidity, or an innocent mistake. Just because you might have done something malicious or vengeful to someone does not mean every sailor operates that way. Showing respect means approaching situations by asking questions and showing empathy and curiosity, not launching accusations and assumptions. If you're going to assume something, assume everyone has something going on and be aware. I had a supervisor one time complaining to me about the amount of human factors affecting the sailors in the department. The question was asked, how am I supposed to know all these things? And it was stated to me that I needed to do a better job recruiting talent into the department. By talent, they meant people with no baggage. My answer, even though I had been insulted, was calm and simple. You can start by treating everyone like they're dealing with something because they are. Some old salts will take this advice as too soft, but that's not what we're after here. Building resiliency and trust cannot get beyond step one if you're not willing to be approachable and accessible to your sailors in a way that they feel comfortable opening up and building trust. The chief has a simple choice. You can be open and inviting and learn about issues before they can surprise you. Or, as we discussed with putting out fires, you can come to work every day and be surprised. Personally, I prefer the climate where people are comfortable sharing and being open about their issues. The good chief has an open door policy, but the great chief doesn't need to advertise the door. Everybody knows. Showing respect means keeping people engaged and productive. Also, value opinions when they come your way. This concept scares the hell out of a lot of chiefs because they tie it into some generational gap where everyone's opinions become important. That is not what this means. To show respect, you show that you appreciate someone cared enough to bring you an idea, knowing even that it could possibly be rejected. It means you entertain the idea, but you definitely don't have to accept it or implement it. Part of valuing opinions as well is following up. Hey, I socialized our discussion the other day, and while we agreed it could work, now isn't the best time to try it. Something like that. Aspiring, motivated sailors love to know when something they're thinking about might be relevant to the CPO mess they want to join. Other ways to show respect include being attentive. My first chief imparted a habit on me. I try my best to repeat at every opportunity. Anytime I sat down to speak with him, he would kindly ask me for one moment to finish his thought, emphatically lock his computer, and turn his chair toward me, giving me complete attention. Wow, I so very much appreciated that. Such good form, and I wish I were better at doing that today. Also, be consistent, and if possible, be fair. We talk about fairness a lot, but fairness is subjective. Talk to your 2 top sailors about who should be the top EP, or any of the 50 people ranked beneath them, and you will quickly be educated on why fairness is subjective. Consistency, on the other hand, is not subjective. A leader is consistent or they're not. Consistency is supported by data. If a baseball pitcher strikes out 30 batters on 90 pitches, there is no subjectivity in that. It is data. When a chief consistently shows respect, they are viewed as respectful and probably a few other positive traits. Being predictable as a chief is a great quality when you are building a positive climate. Our third contributor to a great climate and culture is accountability. Again, accountability is another misused and unpopular word we have in this otherwise positive chapter about building positive environments. Why? Because too many sailors confuse accountability with punishment. They are not the same. Let's walk this dog. Accountability means you can count on me and I can count on you. It is built for reciprocation and must be consistently demonstrated to be effective. Accountability is what we owe our people, meaning the novice leader sees an infraction and then, quote unquote, holds them accountable by punishing them. Sure, the punishment or coaching may help correct a deficiency or punish wrongdoing. But what that is really doing is showing your crew that there is a standard and it will be enforced. This shows your top performers who are doing everything up to standard that their work and efforts are valued by their leadership. In other words, your top performer who witnesses their peer consistently show up late every day and duck out of work, you could end up killing that person's motivation if you continue to accept subpar performance or attitude from the sailor who is always late. Your top performer views that as a double standard, and letting that slide can contribute to others showing up late or otherwise underperforming. And with that, to hold people accountable, the chief has to be the ultimate example. If you are not meeting the mark, own it. Talk to your people. God forbid you shared a story or two with your sailors about the challenges you face that sometimes put you off your game. These opportunities matter. Climate and culture are shaped by the chief's mess. The mess can overcome challenging sailors, and the mess can overcome a bad wardroom. But if a chief's mess is bad, chances are the command is in the shitter. Show up to work every day to make a difference. Make the decisions that do the most good and make them quickly and confidently. Earn your spot every day. Be the chief.